Hey there, it's Rob Ryder. And today, Trump, Satan's Full House on January 3rd, 2021. It'd be a wonderful day if which is actually a Sunday, and for some reason they are meeting on a Sunday. January 3rd is the day they're supposed to meet in the Congress for the start the session, unless the previous Congress has chosen a different day by law. And apparently they didn't. So they're going to be meeting on Sunday. Be the Lord's Day. So it's a great day to capture all our Satan's little connivers and schemers all in the same place, the same time. They'll be in the Capitol building. Just surround it and arrest them all because, there won't be any of them that are qualified to be a representative or a senator, right? From Jump Street, from the first thing they did it wrong. And, if you followed me for any length of time, I've shown this stuff over and over again. But, well, I'm going to do it one more time. A little more spice here, a few other facts there, put it together. So there isn't really a lot new in here. But I think you'll find it entertaining anyways. So let's begin at the beginning that the very first law passed by the first Congress. All right, so an act to regulate the time and manner of administering certain oaths. 1 Stat 23, statutes at large, right? 1 Stat 23 was the first law passed by the United States Congress after the ratification of the Constitution. It was signed by President George Washington on June 1st, 1789, and parts of it still remain on the books. Well, there you go, right? What part remains in the books? Well, the part where the oath does, right? But I'll show you that in a second. But this is what the act said in the very first section then. So be enacted by the Senate and bracketed House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled, that the oath or affirmation required by the 6th Article of the Constitution of the United States shall be administered in the form following, to wit, I, A, B, in other words, state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States. Now, you're supposed to pick swear or affirm, obviously, but you get the idea. That's the entire oath right there. Right? And so where the A, B is, well, that's where the person's identification would go. So that's pretty simple, right? And all the persons listed in the 6th Article of the Constitution are supposed to have taken this oath. So we'll see who those are here in just a second. But one of the other, nice little facts I came across putting this together was in Title II of the United States Code, in Section 26, there's a thing called the Role of Representatives Elect. And it says in this section that before the first meeting of the Congress, of each Congress, the clerk of the next preceding House of Representatives shall make a roll of the representatives elect and place thereon the names of those persons and of such persons only whose credentials show that they were regularly elected in accordance with the laws of their state respectively or the laws of the United States. In case of a vacancy of the office of clerk, representatives, or absence of inability of the clerk to discharge duties imposed upon him by law or custom relative to the preparation of the role of representatives or organization of the House, these duties shall devolve in Sergeant at Arms of the next preceding House of Representatives. Okay, so whoever the clerk is today, right, the House of Representatives is supposed to be putting together this list of representatives elect from the persons claiming to have been elected in the last election. Okay, so they all have to come with their credentials, right? And I'll show you that, when the credentials they bring, they're using middle initial names and nicknames, and the governor's using the nickname, and the Secretary of State's using the nickname, and right. So it's just a simulated legal process. It's not what it's supposed to be. It's just pretending. So I say it's a counterfeit, right? Well, now we're talking about counterfeits that affect the United States, and that would be a crime against the United States. So there's all sorts of crimes. I mean, that's how easy they are to find, right? These crimes are right in the open. Anyway, so hey, I'm the witness for the United States, Staff Sergeant Robert Allen Rutluski, United States Army veteran, aka also known as Rob Ryder. My email address is quarterrecord@aol.com, and my phone number is 616-712-6179. Okay, so a couple more pertinent facts, right? The 6th article, Constitution of the United States, in part, it says that the senators and representatives before mentioned, right, those will be the people going to meet in the Capitol here in a few days. The members of the several state legislatures and all executive and judicial officers, ALL, all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. But no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. Well, I think we can all agree that so help me God is a religious test, and so anytime anybody uses that, right, that oath isn't satisfying the 6th article of the Constitution. But who did it say? Well, you got senators and representatives. Yeah, we know who they are, right? And then we got your members of your state legislature. Well, they're easy enough to find. All executive and judicial officers. Well, that would mean your governor. It would mean Trump, right? Trump is an executive officer. Because this says to support. This is the big thing, to support this Constitution. And as we're going to look right now, that the oath that in the 2nd article doesn't support the Constitution. Right? 2nd article of the Constitution of the United States. Before he enters the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. But it did not say support. Preserve, protect, and defend. And so even if you said, well, that's his presidential oath, that's the oath he has to take. Well, he's also, because he's the president, he becomes the commander-in-chief, and that's a military office. So he'd have to take it for that office. Right? He needs to take the oath in the 6th article. Right? And so the oath in the 6th article, or for the 6th article, see, it has the name, right? IAB. So he would say, I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. Okay. Thank you, sir. You've taken care of the 6th article. We need to take care of the 2nd article, which we should have done first, and I guess we will. But as you can see here, there's no place to put his name, right? So it's not I, Donald John Trump. It's I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. And there is no so help me God. Now, I've shown this before, but it doesn't take long to watch. So let's go watch what happened when Trump did the 2nd article oath, 4 years ago.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help me God. Congrats.
There you go. So Esquire Roberts, right, had Trump put his name in at the beginning. That disqualified the oath. And then he had him say, so help me God at the end, which disqualified it again. So, Donald John Trump did not take the oath for the 2nd article of the Constitution. So he's not the President of the United States of America. Now, I know this says Office of President of the United States, but in, did I still have that open? Yeah, hang on just a second. Yeah, I just wanted to show this thing right here, right? The Clause 1 says the executive power shall be vested in a President of the United States of America. Okay, well, whenever you see him with a symbol in front of him, it says President of the United States. But the executive power is vested in a president of the United States of America. And he can't have this authority until he takes care of Article 2. Okay. If you went to uscode.house.gov, right, you can find the Office of Law Revision Counsel, United States Code, where it says United States Code is a consolidation and codification by subject matter of the general and permanent laws of the United States. Oh, good enough. Let's start with these people. See what they had to say. All right, so these are, this is basically the United States Code. And I'm going to go look at Title 2 of the United States Code, 2 U.S.C. Chapter 2. Title 2, United States Code, Chapter 2. Organization of Congress. Where it's going to talk about oaths of senators, oath of president of the Senate, presiding officers, oath of speakers. You get the idea. Stuff to do with the oath. But the interesting thing is when you go to this website and look at the code, which is different than other places you can find the code, it gives you all this read between the lines stuff with it, because this is coming from the people that made up the code. It talks about change of name and transfer of functions of committees and officers of the House of Representatives. So the Committee on Armed Forces or Armed Services of the House of Representatives shall be treated as referring to the Committee on National Security of the House of Representatives, right? Things like that, where they've changed the name for whatever reason. They have all these committees, but then you get down to these offices, right? And it says, any reference in any provision of law enacted before January 4th, 1995, to a function, duty, or authority, one, of the clerk of the House of Representatives shall be treated as referring with respect to that function, duty, or authority to an officer of the House of Representatives exercising that function, duty, or authority as determined by the Committee on House Oversight, which apparently is now called the Committee on House Administration of the House of Representatives. So in other words, the clerk isn't the clerk. The clerk is actually this person that's going to be appointed by some committee. Because there are certain things in these laws that the clerk is supposed to do, and it's been that way since 1791. So obviously that's long before 1995, and Houston, we got a problem. Same with the doorkeeper, right? Now, why would they change the doorkeeper's name or who it is, right? But the doorkeeper of the House of Representatives shall be treated as referring with respect to function, duty, or authority to an officer of the House of Representatives exercising that function, duty, or authority as determined by the committee. Same thing, right? Same with the postmaster, so forth. So, just real quick, that place does exist. Here's the Committee on House Administration. And unfortunately, they don't have an email address, or I would be contacting them to get some information on the things I've been trying to get from the clerk, which apparently she's not the clerk. But they also have this other House Committee on Oversight and Reform, so that isn't quite the same name as what they mentioned in the code that we just read. So, maybe they did. Maybe they switched it over here. But my point is, there's the Committee on House Administration. And apparently that's the people that have that are acting as the clerk. And as we'll see, it's the clerk that's supposed to put together the list of representatives-elect and check their paperwork before they get to the floor to be sworn in. Well, they're not doing that shit. Okay, so let's start with oaths of senators, right? The oath of office shall be administered by the President of the Senate to each senator who shall be elected previous to his taking his seat. And it talks about RS 28, revised statute number 28, right? Which says RS 28, derived from Act 1 June 1789, which is 1 Stat 23. Right? So this is, saying take the oath that's in 1 Stat 23. Now, as you can see, all these are hyperlinked, so let's just go look at one. This is what I liked about it. Oh, all this stuff is hyperlinked. It takes you to the revised statutes from, 1878, where it said, the oath of office shall be administered by a President of the Senate to each senator who shall hereafter be elected previous to his taking his seat. It's talking about oath of senators in 1 June 1789, 1 2, 1P 23. So somewhere in there, that means then, what today means, we call 1 Stat, S-T-A-T, 23. And we'll see it's the same right here for the representatives, because we'll be talking soon about revised Statute 30, right? Oath of Speaker of Members. So that's the oath that's in the code that they're supposed to take. But that's not the oath they take. We'll be looking at that soon enough. But right, presiding officer of Senate may administer oaths. Or oath of the president of the Senate. Well, okay, when a president of a Senate has not taken oath of office, it shall be administered to him by any member of the Senate. Right, which RS 29. Hey, he's got to take the oath that's in 1 Stat 23. So, now we're talking about the vice president. Right, he had to take this oath in 1 Stat 23. So the senators are supposed to take it, the vice president was supposed to take it, the president has to take it, and none of them have. Going down here, Assistant Secretary of Senate, Dean, successor in reference to Chief Clerk of the Senate. Okay. I got a person called the Assistant Secretary of the Senate now, who's taken over for a person that used to be called the Chief Clerk of the Senate. Go figure. Okay, oath of Speaker, members, and delegates. At the first session of Congress, after every general election of representatives, the oath of office shall be administered by any member of the House of Representatives to the Speaker, and by the Speaker to all members and delegates present, and to the clerk previous to entering on any other business, right? Previous to entering on any other business, you have to do this first, and to the members and delegates who afterward appear previous to their taking their seats. In other words, you can't be a member until you've taken the oath. You may be a member-elect if your paperwork is correct, but you're still not a member until you take the oath. And we're talking about the oath of 1 Stat 23. They don't do it. The clerk of the House of Representatives on the 80th and each succeeding Congress shall cause the oath of office, right, the one of 1 Stat 23, to be printed, furnishing 2 copies to each member and delegate who has taken the oath of office in accordance with law, which shall be subscribed in person by the member or delegate, who shall thereupon deliver them to the clerk. But we're not going to the clerk now, because we're going to this, apparently to this other office, whoever the office of the Committee on House Administration has appointed. So that, don't have a lot of time to get answers to these things, and it's a Christmas holiday, but there you go, right? If you want to know who it is, apparently we need to be talking to this committee. Right? Wow. So 2 of them deliver to the clerk, 1 to be filed in the records of the House of Representatives. Right? So that would mean the clerk should have them. So I should be able to go to the clerk, so I want to see a copy of that oath that guy just did. And the other to be recorded in the Journal of the House and in the Congressional record. Now, that makes it sound to me like they're supposed to put the damn piece of paper into the record. Right? That these are documents. One document's going to go to the House, the records of the House of Representatives, and the other is supposed to be recorded in the Journal of the House, and in the Congressional record. And such signed copies or certified copies thereof, or of either of such records thereof, shall be admissible in evidence in any court of the United States, and shall be held conclusive proof of the fact that the signer duly took the oath of office in accordance with law. You want to know if they did it right? Go look at the fucking records. Records of the House of Representatives. Donald John Trump. Go see what they put in there. All right, here's that RS-30 again. Well, we know which one that is. That takes you back to 1 Stat 23, right? It's been derived from the Act of June 1st, 1789, Chapter 1, Subsection 2, 1 Stat 23. Act of February 18th, 1948, added the last 2 paragraphs to provide a way for which members of the House of Representatives can establish by record evidence, right? They keep talking about there's no evidence. Evidence, where's the evidence? The evidence is in the fucking records of the House of Representatives that the member took an oath of office and so became a member, or prove that they didn't. The proof is in the records. So anybody who's in the D.C. area hearing my voice, you got a chance to go down to the, clerk's office and ask them, try to get us a copy of this stuff. Because I didn't find it in the Congressional record. I mean, to me, they're saying there should be a copy of it in the Congressional record. Well, you can pull up the Congressional record online. I can't find it on there. So where the hell is it? Then they got to do the same with the delegate I think that's for the District of Columbia. Right? Roll of representatives. Again, this is the thing that was supposed to be done beforehand by the person that's been appointed by this Committee on House Administration. Right? Before first meeting of each Congress, the clerk of the next preceding House of Representatives. So that's who it should be. But because this was written long before 1996. Right? I mean, this is the last time it may have been done. So what can we say? I'd be asking both of them. Right? Somebody has to have done this. Where's the roll? Shall make a roll of the representatives elect and place thereon the names of those persons and of such persons only whose credentials show that they were regularly elected in accordance with the laws of their state, respectively, or laws of the United States. In the case of vacancy, okay, already read that. Present by confirmation, convene Congress at such other place. Well, John Trump, why don't you proclaim you're going to just open Congress at Gitmo? Let's just cut out the middleman. Just go open it in Gitmo and leave them there. Right? Because they're not going to take that oath. Not only aren't they congressmen, right? They're not even members elect because they didn't do it in their proper name. But, they're all guilty of campaign finance fraud because they all took money to be elected to an office that they're not going to take. I think that was a big thing in this particular one. So I have one more thing to find on it. Yeah, and so we were looking at sections 21 and on, basically, in Title II. But, these first sections, the time for election of senators. So at the regular election held in any state next preceding the expiration of the term for which any senator was elected to represent such state in Congress, at which election of representatives of Congress is regularly by law to be chosen, the United States senators from that state shall be elected by the people thereof for a term commencing on the 3rd day of January next thereafter. Yeah, okay. It shall be the duty of the executive of the state from which any senator has been chosen to certify his election under the seal of the state to the President of the Senate of the United States. The certificate mentioned in 1A of this title shall be countersigned by the Secretary of State of that state. Well, that sounds simple enough. Let's see what they did, right? Because what's going on here? Oh, it wasn't there. Where's Franken? Here we go. So, Franken isn't in anymore, right? But this is the certificate of election they're talking about, right? To the President of the Senate of the United States from Tim Pauley, which, of course, that's not his full legal name, so that's not the governor. He may be the governor of state of Minnesota, but state of Minnesota is not part of the United States. Minnesota is. I did a video on this stuff with state of Texas when they tried to open that case in the Supreme Court, and they were told they didn't have any standing because state of Texas isn't in the United States. Texas is. Texas, Texas, Texas. Minnesota, Minnesota, Minnesota. Right? State of Texas was part of the Confederacy back in 1861, so maybe that's what state of Minnesota is. I said state of Texas, right? State of Texas. In that name, state of Texas, in 1861, that Constitution, it was a member of the Confederacy during the Civil War. Right? This certify on the 4th day of November 2008 that Al Franken, right? Now that's not, there is nobody named Al Franken. Albert, middle name Franken. But no, they're saying Al Franken. Tim Pauley is saying Al Franken is representing the state of Minnesota. And, they're getting away with this shit. With the seal. Now, is that the proper seal? Is that a counterfeit seal? Because I showed that in Michigan, they're using a counterfeit seal. It's not the proper seal. Right? So, Mark Ritchie, well, Mark's got a middle name, so none of these people are who they say they are in their official capacity. And nobody named Al Franken was ever a United States senator. He was an imposter of a United States senator. That's the way she rolls. So this is the Michigan election law, which is MCL, Michigan Compiled Laws 168, and then whatever the numbers are afterwards. And that's one of these things that you can do, it's a PDF, thankfully, and by gosh, you can do a word search, and if you put in certificate of election, you start finding a bunch of hits. There's 47 different hits in this law talking about certificates of election. So it's not, just a one-time thing. So presidential electors, right, they have to have a certificate of election. Well, that's the first thing you want to look at then, Trump, is go look at the certificates of election for each of these people. What does it say? As soon as practicable, after the State Board of Canvassers has, by official canvass, ascertained the result of an election as to the electors of President and Vice President of the United States, the governor shall certify under the seal of the state to the United States Secretary of State, to the United States lowercase Secretary of State, whoever that's supposed to be, the names and addresses of the electors of this state chosen as electors of the President and Vice President of the United States. The governor shall also transmit to each elector chosen as an elector for President and Vice President of the United States a certificate in triplicate under the seal of the state for his or her election. Right? And I bet you when they convene, they got to bring one of their pieces of paper with them. Okay, well, let's just keep going. I'll show a few more real quick. Right? The governor and the lieutenant governor, they have to have a certificate of election. I've been looking, I've gotten the oath of office before, but I guess I never really asked for the certificate of election. So I'm going to do that. Secretary of State shall file in his office and preserve the original statement and determination of the Board of State Canvassers of the result of the election, and shall forthwith execute and cause to be delivered to the persons thereby declared to be elected to the offices of governor and lieutenant governor certificates of election certified by him under the great seal of the state. Hang on, please. Okay, right, so governor has to have one, lieutenant governor has to have one, secretary of state, attorney general, they have to have one. Right, these are a certificate that prove that they were, right? United States senator by the governor. It shall be the duty of the governor upon election or appointment of a United States senator to certify his election or appointment to the President of the Senate of the United States. Said certificate shall be under the great seal of the state and countersigned by the Secretary of State, and a copy thereof shall be delivered to the next person or to the person so elected or appointed as a United States senator. Representatives, they got the same gig going on, right? So there you go, right? The Secretary of State. The governor does the alone, it looks like, does the senator, and then the Secretary of State alone does the representative. However, that isn't quite right. It said that on the senator, that had to be countersigned by the Secretary of State. So the governor doesn't look like he's doing the representatives, but they're doing the senators. Well, they're not doing it at all because Al frickin' Franken was supposed to be a senator. Now, again, this is Minnesota. It's not Michigan, but we're using that as an example, right? That this wouldn't work. Because, even today, Gretchen Whitmer is not the governor of Michigan because Gretchen Whitmer is not the woman's name. Her name is Gretchen Esther Whitmer. She could be the governor of Michigan, but that isn't the name she's using. So she's hiding her identity. Well, somebody hiding their identity then is going to, fill out a piece of paper with somebody else hiding their identity to send to the Senate of the United States Congress or President of the United States Senate to tell them this person who's not using their full legal name, using a fictional name, has been elected. What the frick is going on today? Hang on. Yeah, so here, some time back now, it's getting to be. This is file 1116, so they said. I had tried to open a miscellaneous case in the Southern District of New York. I did a number of videos on this already, right? And but they turned it into a civil case, right? And instead of it being a miscellaneous case. Well, because they made it a civil case, then they want me to pay the $500 filing fee or whatever the hell it is, or sign the paperwork, say you're a pauper. But when you sign that paperwork as a pauper, you give up all your rights. And so I was trying to say, well, no, I'm a veteran. I'm just going to do it as a veteran. And the Rule 40 of the United States Code says, or Rule 40 of Supreme Court rules say that I can file for free. And I had read that the Supreme Court writes the rules for, the district courts and so forth. So it should apply to this court too. That was, I don't overthink these things, right? My biggest thing is I want to make a public record. I know that when I put this in and they put this on, it is now in a frickin' United States District Court for Southern District of New York. Whether they follow it or not, nothing I can do, right? But it doesn't change the fact that it's true. All I can say is I didn't follow the procedure. But I'm pointing out to them these are crimes against the United States. And so, at the end of the day, I don't care if I didn't do it right. I'm pointing out a crime, and now they are aware, right? So, in this particular case, I was trying to call it pleas of the crown, which was the vehicle to get things done back in the day when you're trying to get business with the king done in England. It was done as pleas of the crown because he didn't go to the Court of Common Pleas. He went to the King's Bench. But the king still had to go to court, right? He couldn't just come and take your property, or they had a name for that, the arbitrary use of power or something like that, right? No, he had to go to court, and have his attorney general get him a writ so he could do whatever needed to be done, just like anybody else would. But I was pointed out in this thing, right, that I'll show you the act, right, that this is the wording that should be on the Great Seal, right? Lowercase, Great Seal, State of Michigan, AD, da-da-da-da. Well, that isn't how they do it. They put it all uppercase, right? But that isn't how it's said to do it. And it's got more words. It says the Great Seal. And this just said Great Seal. So the one that they're using is a counterfeit. That's what this whole complaint was about. Right? That there it is, Great Seal, State of Michigan, AD, whatever. And I put in here, well, here's the Great Seal of the State of Michigan. That's not the same. This one says the, and it's all in uppercase, and the one they're supposed to use is not have the word the, and most of it's in lowercase. Well, there you are. Goes on and on and on. I don't even know why I was telling you this now. That phone rang and got me off track a little bit. But anyways, I wanted to show it, so I have. So hang on now. Okay, so we're back now to Title II, United States Code, Section 25, where it talked about copies of the oaths being put in the Journal of the House and in the Congressional Record. So if you've never seen the Congressional Record before, then it's at www.congress.gov, right? Congressional Record. Just Google Congressional Record. You can find it. You can put in all sorts of dates and go back and look at stuff and so forth and so on. And look at a few things that, I'm not, like I said, I haven't found the oaths, but I found other things that are of interest to me. Such as, so this was January 3rd, 2017. Right? So it's been the last time, well, not the last time, 2 times ago now. All right, but January 17th. Last time senators were put in, or a time that senators were put in. So they're putting in here that I got the Pledge of Allegiance, then the certificates of election, they're being put in, right? And they're using the people's names as Michael Bennett, was done by John Hinkle-Looper and Wayne W. Williams. Already no good. Right? I'm sure that Michael's got a middle name, so that's not his proper name. I got Daniel P. Malloy. Well, that isn't good. Denise or Dennis Merrill. Again, they tend to use names other than people's proper identification, right? And if you're not properly identifying yourself, then there's a problem. Now, there's also a problem with His Excellency, because excellency is a frickin' title of nobility, isn't it? Right? You call somebody an excellency. I mean, that's what you call an emperor or a king. All right, Kamala D. Harris. Well, there you go. So there is no Kamala D. Harris, and there's no Edmund G. Brown. Goes on and on and on. But they put all these people in here right on January 3rd, 2017. They put them into the Congressional record. And then if we look at January 3rd, now this is 2019. I think that's what I did. I went and looked at different years. Okay. This is the House of Representatives section of that, where, I mean, for those who really want to dig into it, I wish somebody would look at it much deeper than I can, right? If you go to this Congressional Research Service, you Google that, you should be able to find it, right? They have this book, The First Day of Congress, a guide to proceedings on the House floor. And they have another one, I believe, for senators, right? So this tells you all the things they're supposed to do. And then here's the record of what they did, right? Compare the two, see if they're the same. But in here, there's the Pledge of Allegiance, and then the clerk, as directed by law, prepared official roll of the representatives elect. Now, did the clerk of the House do that, or was that the person appointed by the committee that did that? But there they are, and they make this roll, and they put them all on there, and they go through their thing. Now, they're just using last names, right? So you don't know if it's a Mr. or a Mrs. So that doesn't identify anybody, right? That's nobody's identification. Da 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 da. Go down here. Where did I want to see? When are we going to get to the oath? Okay, swearing in of members. So here we go. First, the Pelosi had to take it, right? Because she's supposed to be the Speaker of the House, right? Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance the same, and you will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office for which you're about to enter. So help me God. Well, that isn't the oath that's for the 6th article, right? They didn't. No I with their name in there, right? So that's got to help me God. That's the wrong oath. Well, then we're going to go on, and now she's going to swear in the rest of the people and give them the wrong oath. So, then they're going to go on with their business of their day. Now, I don't know why they did this, but again, this is on the 3rd. And on the 17th, not that many days later, but on a different day, after they adjourned, it's acting like, so now we're shut down for the day, that these oaths of office are, being done now, that the oath of office required by the 6th article of the Constitution of the United States, comma, and as provided by Section 2 of an act of May 13th, 1884, which is 23 Stat 22, to be administered to members, residents, delegates of the House of Representatives, the text of which is carried in 5 U.S.C. 3331, which now I, with the name in there. So that's not the one that they showed doing the first time. It's still wrong, because it's so help me God, and it's the wrong oath. But, I mean, they even did the wrong oath differently. All right, well, they act like they're putting this in here again. And when they get done, then they're going to go and give themselves an oath for access to classified information. So we have people using middle initial names and nicknames and all sorts of shit, pretending to be Congress, that are now going to go take an oath to get state secrets. Well, that should make them a spy. All right, because here, now they got their names going this way, right? Debbie Dingle, Lloyd Doggett, Michael F. Doyle. All these people are going to take another oath so they can go get state secrets. Well, using this alias, right? So I just don't think that's right. What do y'all think? I don't know how they get away with it, but that's the kind of shit we're dealing with. So, hang on again. Okay, so back to the United States Code. This is 5 USC 3331, Oath of Office. Right, which is in Title 5 is for government, organization, and employees. Part 3, employees. Subpart B, employment and retention. Chapter 33, examination, selection, and placement. Subchapter 2, oath of office. So this isn't an oath for somebody from Congress to take. This is for an employee of the executive branch to take. I guess it could be for any branch, right? But an employee of the government to take. So an individual, except the president, elected or appointed to an office of honor or profit in the civil service or uniformed services. I don't see how that could include Congress then, right? Not an office of honor or profit, and it's not in the civil service or uniformed service. But anyways, carry on. Shall take the following oath. We already know what the words are, so help me God. This section does not affect other oaths required by law. Well, 1 Stat 23 is another oath required by law. And they're not taking it. Okay, so then they went and did all but the quoted section is omitted as obsolete. 1757 was originally an alternate oath to the oath prescribed in 1756, which oath was repealed by an act May 13th, 1884, 23 Strat 22. So what is all that about? So what's 1557? Whenever any person who is not rendered ineligible to an office by provisions of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution is elected or appointed to an office of honor or trust under the government of the United States and is not able, on account of his participation in late rebellion, to take an oath prescribed in the preceding section, he shall, before entering upon duties of his oath, take this other oath. So this is somebody who was otherwise unqualified to be in the government, could take this oath to be in the government after the Civil War. Right? So, it's not a Civil War oath per se, because the Civil War was already over, but what was the other section it said? Let's go back and look at that. Jeepers creepers. Where are you? Way over here. Anyways, it said that the one in 1756, which oath was repealed by an act this day right here. So what's this oath have to say? So again, we're looking at the revised statutes, 1878, provisions, applications of several classes of officers, right? Here's all the different classes of officers. Well, a member of Congress isn't an officer. They're a member of Congress. Right? That was already shown here, right? Where the people are going to take the oath that senators and representatives, before mentioned, members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers of both the United States and several states. So it's not the senators and representatives. 1756, every person elected or appointed to any office of honor or profit, either in the civil, military, naval services, excepting the president, and persons embraced by the section following, shall, before entering the duties of such office entitled by salary prescribed following oath. I, put your name, do solemnly swear that I have never voluntarily borne arms against the United States since I have been a citizen thereof, that I have voluntary. So this is like an ironclad oath, right? Or loyalty oath, right? On and on and on. Well, they got rid of this oath. But this isn't the oath that satisfies the 6th Article of the Constitution. And the oath they're taking is an oath that's supposed to be used by people who otherwise couldn't work in the government because they had been working for, enemies, foreign and domestic. All right, that's how you became an enemy of the state. They're all acting like we're, part of this other class of people here. The oath of office required by either of these two preceding sections may be taken before any officer who is authorized by the laws of the United States or local municipal law to administer oaths, so forth and so on. But that's not the oath in the 6th Article that satisfies the 6th Article of the Constitution. Right? The other thing is, nowhere in the 6th Article does it say it's a office of honor or profit. Right? They're executive and judicial officers, not an office of honor or profit. So obviously it's the improper oath, right? The only proper oath to take is this one right here. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States. And that needs to be taken by everybody from the president on down to the dog catcher. All these different classes of officers. Right? Because it's the same oath in this act, 1 Stat 23. It says, members of the state legislature and so forth. But just to show you that it's been, covered also by the United States Code. That'd be in Title 4. Or no, where are we? Title 2. Title 4. The states. Section 101. Every member of a state legislature and every executive or judicial officer of a state shall, before he proceeds to execute the duties of his office, take an oath in the following form. To wit, I state your name, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. They even removed your choice of words. You got to say that one, or you don't get to be an officer in the state. Right? So this is what the governor needs to take. The governor is not the governor until the governor takes his oath, and she never took it, so she's not the governor. And if she did take it, she'd have to put her full legal name in there. And as I've shown, with her especially, that I have a copy of the oath that she put in, which is similar to the oath that's required by the Michigan Constitution, but they changed the grammar, so it's not the same. She uses her Gretchen Whitmer, not Gretchen Esther Whitmer, so it's not her. And it was administered by a notary public, which specifically by the laws of Michigan cannot administer an oath to the governor. So there you go, right? It's just one thing after another that's as messed up as can be. And but Trump, they're all, Satan's full house will all be there. They're all going to be there on January 3rd, 2021. Now, like I said, I think you should just go ahead and issue a proclamation and tell them all to meet at Gitmo instead. And you can just leave them there, right? But if they're going to be in the Capitol, well, they'll all be in one place. And they're not going to have proper credentials, right? They're not going to have a certificate of election with their full legal name on it, subscribed by the frickin' Secretary of State or the governor, depending on how it's done, either or both. So there you go. I don't know that I had anything else to tell y'all, but I wanted to share this one more time. So let me go check, make sure I got no other little pieces anywhere. Hang on. Just one last little tidbit real quick that I had found this. Who are officers of the United States? Right, this is from 2017. Jennifer L. Mascott. Right? For decades, courts have believed the only officials with significant authority are officers of the United States, subject to the Constitution's Article 2 Appointments Clause requirements. But this standard has proven difficult to apply to major categories of officials, leading to a circuit split this past December over whether certain administrative law judges needed Article 2 appointments. This article challenges whether significant authority is even the proper standard, using two distinctive tools: corpus linguistics, style analysis of the founding era documents, and examination of appointment practices of the Continental Congress. Well, hey, how about we go back and see, our country, our laws and everything are supposed to be done by precedents. What did they do in the first Congress? Right? I know what George Washington did. He kissed the Bible. That was part of the ceremony. Right? This is a Christian nation. You want to be in, you better kiss the Bible. Both strongly suggest the original public meaning of officer is much broader than modern doctrine assumes, encompassing a government official with responsibilities for any ongoing governmental duty. Any governmental official, right? This historic meaning of officer likely would extend to thousands of officials not currently appointed as Article 2 officers, such as tax collectors, disaster relief officials, federal inspectors, custom officials, administrative judges. This conclusion might at first seem destructive to the civil service structure, right? But this article suggests that the core components of the federal hiring system might fairly readily be brought into compliance with Article 2 by amending who exercises final approval to rank candidates and hire them. These feasible but significant changes would restore critical mechanisms for democratic accountability and transparency intended by the framers. Donald John Trump take the oath. Right? They're not taking the oath of 1 Stat 23. They're taking this, this unconstitutional oath that's in 5 U.S.C. 331. But even when they take this oath, they're not taking it right. It's not being recorded properly. I got to show that too. Then I'll be done. Hang on a second. One more thing to show. So this is the form that all, everybody else is filing. Right? It's called a standard form, where is it? United States, U.S. Office of Personnel Management, standard form 61. So Donald John Trump, he got a problem with this office because they bifurcated the oath. Even if this was the proper oath, which, this says it's an appointment affidavit, so it's not an oath anyways. I, state your name, right? Should be your full legal name there. Do solemnly swear or affirm that, right? And then they bifurcate it and put in a oath of office. And like this part down here is the oath of office. No, this sentence up here and this is part of the oath. So they bifurcated the oath. Now, I've shown, people that have filled these out before, they're using middle initial names and, so forth and so on. It's not being done proper. They don't do anything proper. So, this is just the kinds of things that need to be fixed, and it could start with one fell swoop. Come January 3rd, 2021, when, we could play Trump cards on Satan's Full House. So Trump, play your cards. We're running out of time. Okay, thank you very much, folks. Y'all have a blessed Christmas, and we'll see where we are after that. Take care.